Warning, the following audio transmission is based on theory and is intended for entertainment purposes only. It's Doomsday and its affiliates will not be held liable for anything your dumbass does. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everybody, to It's Doomsday Podcast. Joining me back in the studio is Rusty Shackelford. That's right, we're still here. So there's no need to give you guys an update on the date, just the time, and it is now 8:38 p.m. And what we're going to cover now, guys, is we're going to get into building your prepper library, what kind of stuff you need to have book-wise, and what books would be beneficial and what books might be just kind of useless, right?
Yeah.
So There's a bunch of different ways we could start this off, but I think we should start off with books that are food related, right?
Okay.
I mean, we're going to get into everything, but let's get into the food related stuff first. And it's mainly for me, the idea is you're going to need to know how to grow food.
Yep.
You're going to need to know how to preserve food.
Right.
Okay.
Which I have a couple of books on how to preserve.
Gotcha. So do I. If you guys are looking for these books, I'm just going to tell you the best place to pick these things up is Tractor Supply. Seems to have everything.
Yep.
When it comes to books.
Rural King, if you got one near you. It's
yeah,
another good one, I think.
Yeah, the Farm and Tractor Supply stores are pretty much the best place you're going to go for these things.
Unless you want to count Amazon.
Well, okay. Now let's set the stage for a second. Shit has just hit the fan. You're DUN done. There is no internet. You ain't ordering anything.
Bookstores, dude.
Bookstores?
Bookstores.
In the apocalypse?
Why not? Who is going to raid a bookstore? They don't sell adult stuff there, if you know what I mean.
Depends on what kind of bookstore.
Well, this is true, but usually those are in the back of the video store.
Where are you finding a video store nowadays?
This is true. Everything's on the internet. But, I mean, think about a bookstore.
Free papers.
True.
Yeah.
And
the librarian ain't showing up.
Bad times, toilet paper.
I guess. Okay. Yeah. All right. So
you use the Washington Post.
Anyway, the idea of building your prepper library is for the simple idea that you're not going to have access to the internet and you're going to want to know how to do stuff, right? So I think that, the reason why I went with the food first and the preserving first is because we all know water is important. We know security is important. We know shelter is important. That's cool. Everybody out there that's listening to the show probably has all those nailed down already.
Right.
Where they may be lacking is getting the garden going.
Right.
Or preserving their food. All right? So there's specific books out there, manuals on how to get your garden going. Right? There's backyard garden books. There's actually full-on farming books. There's farmers' almanacs that can tell you when to plant, how to plant, what the weather's going to be like, what moon phases we're going to be in, everything.
I mean, the farmer's almanac tells you a lot more than that. Fishing, hunting. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, the farmers' almanacs are pretty badass, and they're really cheap.
Yeah.
And they're updated every year.
They are.
So, I mean, the farmer's almanac's a great way to go. And then there's the idea of you get canning and fermenting books, right? If you know how to can, if you know how to preserve meat, if you know how to do these kind of things, you're able to take what you produced, and it's gonna take you further. It's going to take you further into the apocalypse, right? And you're going to have that information to retain it. And also, the second side of this is you're going to be able to have this knowledge and be able to recite it verbatim and hand somebody this book and say, here, you need to learn this. Because if something happens to me, if I'm dead and gone, you're going to be the one that may have to do this.
Exactly. But here's a question for you. Books or ebooks?
Books.
Okay.
Granted, you're not going to bug out with a library.
You're not. And that's where... that was my thought process. Like, if you could get like an ebook and you can download all of them to it,
right?
As long as you have an energy source, a solar generator, something, you could keep that there, and it's in a very small package. Compared to having to take 15 books with you, that's going to take up space, it's going to take up weight. You could throw it in a bug out bag, book bag, whatever, and you can go.
Yeah, if I had to leave and I only had to take one book with me, I think it would be, and this would be one of the next books I'd want to bring up. I would want to bring a foraging book.
Yeah.
Because I would want to know the edible plants in my area, what's poisonous, what's not poisonous. People that have been in this realm look, I'm going to tell everybody out there that wants to get into foraging, this shit takes practice, okay? You have to repeatedly look at stuff to identify it, all right? And one of the main reasons why for that, and I'm not a foraging guru, but it's because plants change the way they look throughout the season. A juvenile plant that might be edible might not be edible when it's an adult. So in this area, they eat the fucking pokeberry.
Yep.
But they got to do it when it's juvenile, not when it's an adult form. You have to know what you're looking at or it's going to fuck you up.
And the other thing I heard about poke is you have to cook it multiple times. You have to boil it down multiple times to get the toxins out of it.
Are you looking for something kick-ass to add to your closet? Reaper has the hookup for t-shirts, hoodies, button-ups, hats, beanies, and plenty of other badass products. You can check out Reaper Apparel Company at www.reaperapparelco.com and use code DOOM10 for 10% off. Jester only stands behind brands he believes in, and Dan at Reaper Apparel has a mission, and Jester is on board. Go check out www.reaperapparelco.com today and use code DOOM10 for 10% off your entire order. Why be a sheep when you can reap? Use code DOOM10 for 10% off at www.reaperapparelco.com today.
That's one of the things I heard.
I'm not fucking with it.
Neither am I.
You could have it.
No. They try here. Try this. What is it? What are you cooking it so much? Oh, we got to No, I'm good.
No. You can keep your toxic ass plants, but having the foraging book, because there's a lot of things out there that are edible that people just don't realize are. Right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are getting wise to say like the dandelion and the thistles, but there's so much more out there that's edible that you can just get. There's edible flowers, there's all kinds of shit. So having that book in a bug out situation is one I definitely want to have.
Yeah.
Right? I think the next, if you are talking about a bug out scenario, I think I would kind of vote for a bushcraft book.
Yeah. If you're literally going to be just living out of your backpack. Then, yeah, probably bushcraft.
So, I mean, when we talk about the bushcraft, again, bushcraft is something you continuously have to be doing, practicing. And, I mean, like, let's be honest. A lot of people are going to incur some injuries practicing bushcraft, right?
They are.
So you're going to want to do this at your own risk, okay? And a lot of the bushcraft stuff, you have to refine your skills, all right? If you're a very book-smart person and you're not hands-on at all and you suck at doing stuff, like if you can't build a house out of popsicle sticks, you're probably fucked when it comes to bushcraft, right?
I guess I'm fucked.
You get fucked?
I can't build a house out of popsicles.
Never had Lincoln Logs?
I had Lincoln Logs, but those are different. Those don't require glue, sir.
You just put them into little slots and they're good to go.
Those are the easy ones.
All right. So anyway, the bushcraft book would be good because this bushcraft books kind of cover everything. They cover shelter making, water filtration, fire building, hunting, trapping. There's so many things that are in the bushcraft books. And if you go out there and if you get these bushcraft books, some of them you can even get with waterproof pages. I have one that has waterproof pages.
Oh, I did not know that.
Right? So that's pretty cool. And since we're on that topic, I would say a pocket survival guide.
Another thing you could look up are the Army manuals.
I've got one.
They've got a whole slew of them for anything, guerrilla warfare, plant survival, all kinds of cool stuff in these Army survival manuals.
Right. And so what's interesting, though, since you bring that up, a lot of these survival books that they have on the shelves are from the Department of the Army.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah. They just literally took the manual, changed a couple of words in it, called them theirs, and there you go.
Right. So as the government's fucking us, they're kind of like secretly passing us the answers.
This is what you need to know. This is what we're going to do to you.
So to go back into this, the pocket survival guides. Have you seen these?
I have.
Okay, so the pocket survival pocket survival guides, guys, are really cool because they're a tiny little how to survive all these different scenarios in this little it'll fit your wallet. They're tiny
Right.
little books, and they have everything they need in there, everything that you need in there. So if you are in that bug out, yeah, that was a mouthful. If you are in that bug out scenario, these are going to help you greatly.
Yeah.
What would you think would be a good book next on the list?
Probably the Survival Medicine Handbook or the guide, either one. Because I know there's the two of them. You had him on the show, Dr. Alton.
Dr. Alton, yeah,
Alton.
we had him on.
I have the smaller version, which
Okay.
is the guide, I think it is. And I've read it cover to cover, and it has a lot of good information. But for me, it was more of a refresher being an EMT. But the next one, that would probably be the one that I would want to grab.
Gotcha.
Probably would be the handbook for somebody that doesn't have medical training, because you would be able to open it up and say, okay, this is how I fix a cut.
Right.
So,
I mean, I guess to go into that, since we're going to bring that up, let's talk about medical books in general. First off, there's a big difference between a book that's going to give you basic first aid knowledge,
right.
and then a book that's giving you some serious medical know-how.
But you have to read the one with basic knowledge before you can understand the one with serious know-how.
The wording
Exactly.
in the medical shit kills me.
Yes.
I'm not suggesting anybody goes out there and gets a fucking medical dictionary that has all your vocab words. You know what kills me? My mom had a medical dictionary.
Right.
And that could have greatly helped me in EMT class.
You never thought to read it, right?
Well, after we cleaned out the old house, I think we gave it away or tossed it. It's gone.
Wow.
Yeah, I never even thought to save it. So a medical dictionary would be great to have right now. But if shit's really hitting the fan, you're not going to go back and reference things as they're happening.
No.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
it's one of those things that would be good to have if you get someplace and you get established.
Right. So maybe you have that medical dictionary with your medical books, and as you're sitting there in your boredom and you're trying to further your knowledge, you go back and you look these terms up because...
Do you have enough food in your pantry for when disaster strikes? Go to www.readywise.com and utilize code DOOM10 for 10% off your entire food order. ReadyWise offers long-term food storage items such as chicken and beef that last up to 15 years. But that's not all. Go to www.readywise.com and use our code DOOM10 for 10% off of organic food as well. Offering chili, pasta, and soups, they have you covered. Did we mention they have fruits? Bananas, blueberries, strawberries, and apples, just to name a few. With many more food options for your home, car, or bug out bag, ReadyWise has your six. Go to www.readywise.com now and utilize code DOOM10 for 10% off.
The terms you're going to see in these medical training books, you're not going to know what they're referring to.
No.
Right.
Just like, pick one.
Hypotension versus hypertension.
Right.
Hypothermia versus hyperthermia.
Tension pneumothorax.
Yes.
Hemothorax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not going to know, it's a collapsed lung. Is it collapsed by air or is it collapsed by fluid?
Right.
So, yeah, having that would probably be one of those good things to, okay, this is what this is.
Right. So I mean, if you were in the process of furthering your knowledge before shit would hit the fan, I would definitely say that would be one
Yes.
to have. In shit hits the fan moment, though, no, not going to do you any good.
No, it's not going to do you any good right now.
But for those of you guys out there that are just like Jester Rusty, I need something to get now. What to get? Get a basic first aid guide. Just a basic first aid guide. That's it. Because you're not a doctor, you're not a surgeon. You're going to give basic life-saving skills, and that's it.
If you could find an older EMT book that they taught EMT from, that has a lot of the BLS skills in it. And a lot of stuff, I mean, that's the book that they give people off the street that don't have any knowledge. They say, here, read this, and we come out of class and we're certified. So that might be a good book to get a hold of. Well,
yeah, the book they give you now, though, fuck.
I think it was your test, dude. But you think about it. When you went into this, how much knowledge did you have?
So all right, here's where I'm at. I had basic first aid knowledge.
Right.
Okay. I definitely have way more knowledge now than what I did.
But you could take somebody that has zero knowledge,
Right.
say, put them through this course, give it to them, say, here's the book. And now you've got somebody that knows how to do CPR, stop bleeding, how to do all of these things. And if somebody just wants to have a book, that's probably what I would say. Is like a basic, basic first aid, but like an EMT book.
So I've got a handful of them because they're like $3 or $4, and every once in a while I'll pick them up. But I've got like a survival first aid book.
Okay.
And I pick them up because I like to keep one in each of the first aid kits, need be. And I've been like trying to get some to give them away at prep stock and stuff like that. So I've got a handful of those, and I'll post them somewhere,
Right.
so you can check them out. But those are what I really recommend. The little first aid survival guides. I think they're really awesome. They can go into your bug out bag, right? You could put them wherever. You could read through these things. I think they're great. So yeah, definitely medical books, would be the way to go.
And old medical books. If you could find, depending on what doomsday scenario you're prepping for, if you can find a book that predates electricity or predates procedures where electricity was not really used,
Wow.
that's going to come in really fucking handy.
I didn't even think about that.
I would love to find, and I know it was crude, but you have to also look at the times. Like if you could find a Civil War medical journal, I mean, think of what you'd be able to do with that. Now, granted, the solution for everything was amputation.
Just cut it off.
Just cut it off. But the biggest thing was having what we know now. A lot of people died not necessarily from the injuries because of infection.
Right.
And now, as in a modern world, we know how to mitigate infection. So if you could find an old book that predates electricity, all that other kind of stuff, there's a pretty good chance there's a lot of relevant knowledge in there.
All right, but so you also got to think, like when you're talking about these kind of books, these pre-electricity books, Civil War era books, they also didn't have antibiotics and shit readily available right there like we do now.
No, they didn't. And
right.
I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a doctor that discovered that if he used boiled horsehair to sew up wounds, there were less people getting infections compared to them just using needle and thread.
Right.
Because he was boiling the horsehair, he was killing it, and he was using it to sew up a wound, and people weren't getting infections. And that's when they discovered sterilization and sanitizing.
Huh.
Yeah, interesting fact. I didn't realize that's when it came out.
Horsehair, huh?
Boiled horsehair. He was using boiled horsehair to sew up wounds.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right. So next book on the list, next set of books on the list, I would say any kind of how-to guides, right?
Yep.
So when I say how-to guides, all right, you got to understand you're going to be your own repairman in the apocalypse, right? Whether you're bugging in, whether you're bugging out, whether you show up to your bug out location, there's going to be things that break that you have to fix. If you don't have any kind of hands-on knowledge, like if you don't know how to cut a piece of wood, if you don't know how to pound a nail, if you don't know how to use a measuring tape, like I'm just thinking in my head these general things that you're going to have to know how to fix or repair.
Right.
Right? Everything breaks down eventually.
Fire is one of the most basic essentials for survival. Whether you're camping, hiking, or preparing for disaster, Blackbeard has your six. Go to www.blackbeardfire.com and utilize code Doomsday for 10% off your entire purchase. Blackbeard offers stormproof matches, plasma arc lighters, fire starters, and ferro rods, all of which are great for your bug out bag. Once again, go to www.blackbeardfire.com and utilize code Doomsday for 10% off your entire purchase.
Having how-to guides to things that apply to your life for things that are around you, I think are very good to have.
Honestly, the 4 Dummies books are probably pretty good.
Actually, I have one beekeeping for dummies book.
I have the ham radio for dummies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I bought it. I bought it when I wanted to learn ham radio, and a lot of good knowledge in it, but it's all about knowing the information to pass the test. And unfortunately, that book did not have that, but it still had a lot of stuff on how to set up radios, how antennas work, all that. So, I mean, the four Dummies books are great.
So are they still popular, though? Are they still selling?
I mean,
Because they were big in the 90s.
They're still printing them, so I guess they're selling.
Damn. They don't have digital for dummies now.
They do.
Do they?
If I'm not mistaken, I looked on Amazon and I was looking for ham radio for dummies, and I think it was actually available for digital download. So maybe that's what they're kind of drifting more towards is digital downloads. But
Probably.
hey, if you can get the book, because then you don't have to worry about an EMP.
Right. That's one of the big things too when we talk about this prepper library is the idea of, the EMP, the grid failing, no cell signal, shit like that. That's why it's important to have the books, right? That's why it's important to have hard copies. So one thing I would like to throw into this, guys, anything veterinary related, animal husbandry related, farming related, how to treat and identify sick animals. If you are off grid and you are that person, well, let's say you have a farm now and you call a veterinarian for everything. Mm-hmm. When shit hits the fan, that veterinarian might not be around anymore.
No.
Or they might be the most prized person in Doomsday because they could treat all the animals. They might be a king.
Not even animals. They might be able to treat people.
That's true.
I mean,
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take a vet over, Joe Blow walking down the street if I got a cut. I mean, they can sew up an animal, staple an animal. Why can't they staple a human?
So, okay, another thing, and a buddy of mine, we were talking about this years ago, was the idea of having an encyclopedia set when shit hits the fan.
Oh, hell yeah. They call it analog internet.
Right. So everybody growing up, I mean, everybody knew somebody who had the entire Encyclopedia Britannica set in their house.
A to Z, right?
Right? And there was always one weird one missing, like F was always gone, right? There was one always missing, and they're like stupid expensive new.
Oh God, yeah.
They are wildly expensive. You can find these used relatively cheap, but there's usually a book or two missing, right? And so the deal with these is, for anybody that hasn't seen one of these, it is a series of books, A to Z, that has everything that you could possibly want to know documented. And when my buddy and I were talking, he was like, you might want to get one that's like maybe pre-internet.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? He's like, because you're not going to get all that woke shit on there and you're going to get more truth.
Exactly.
Right? And we were getting to talking about it. One of the big reasons to have the encyclopedia is because if shit really breaks down, it's you're going on years, you've got kids and you need to teach the kids, it's the best thing to have.
Right.
Right? Or if you need to solve severe boredom in the apocalypse. So it's okay. What I want people to understand real quick with this book situation, the average person spends 40 hours a week at work right now.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to be honest with you guys. If shit hits the fan and you're not going to work, depending on your situation, you're going to become very bored.
Yep.
All right? And I don't care if you have a backyard garden and a couple chickens. They're not going to occupy 40 hours a week.
Nope.
You're going to go out there in the morning. You're going to feed your animals. You're going to water your garden. You might do a couple hours of foraging. Then you're stuck back there till the end of the day. Doing what? Maybe canning, maybe fermenting. But then what? Nighttime's going to roll around. You ain't got no internet. You ain't got no Netflix.
And that's the thing. In a Doomsday, you're going to have nothing but time. You'll be able to set all these projects up, then you're just going to literally sit and watch it happen.
Right.
So fill it with a book. Even if it's a novel, you might gain some knowledge from that novel.
All right. Now, let's talk about some different barter kind of books. All right. So when I say barter books, I'm talking about books that will further your knowledge to have skills that you could use for bartering. Okay. Now, the first one on my mind is beer and whiskey making. Beer, moonshine, whiskey. If you have the ability to make that stuff, if you have books that could walk you through how to make wine.
Oh, see, I was going completely in a different direction with that, Jester.
What were you thinking? I got to know now.
Hey, you're going to have some very lonely people out there. They're not going to have the internet anymore.
Oh, God.
Hey, here's some pictures. What are you trading for it?
Get your tickets to Prep Stock before they're gone. Go to prepstock.ticketleap.com today. Being held in beautiful Townsend, Tennessee, this community-focused survival event is taking place October 6th through the 9th. Explore the world of homesteading and survival. Escape the sheeple and find your people at PrepStock. For more detailed information, go to prepstock.ticketleap.com and buy your tickets now. Want to increase your chances of survival? Learn new survival skills such as herbal remedies, beekeeping, pressure canning, and much more. For a sense of security and protection in uncertain times, buy your tickets today at prepstock.ticketleap.com. Tickets to this event are limited and will be gone soon. Don't miss out on this doom-tastic time. Buy your tickets now at prepstock.ticketleap.com. Bug out to PrepStock this October.
All right, so...
But yes, winemaking, beer, liquor, all that.
Right. Well, winemaking, beer making, that kind of stuff. So let's touch on what you said. No internet around or anything like that. I have a stack of Playboys. All right.
How old?
They're older
because they might be worth money.
Early 2000s.
They might not be worth money.
All right. So I guess my dad doesn't throw anything away.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not. So whenever we were moving him out of his house, and he just brought out the stack of Playboys. I mean, it's a stack, I don't know, a foot or two high.
Nice.
He was like, "What do you want to do with these?" And I was like, "Well, let me keep them." He's like, "What the fuck are you going to do with them?" And in my head, I'm thinking Doomsday.
Yeah.
Fucking Doomsday. This could be a barter item.
Exactly.
Right.
You're going to have somebody out there that's going to be like, hell, I could use that for whatever reason.
And it could double down as a medical book.
Female anatomy. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think magazine pages would work very well for toilet paper. They're not very absorbent.
No, they're not. It's going to be too slippy and slidey.
Yeah,
I'm not going to want to
smeary, shitty mess.
I'm not going to want to do that. So no, I mean, but again, regardless, you could barter the Playboys.
You could,
right? Someone's gonna, if a Playboy gets me a freaking box of 9mm, that's great.
Hell yeah.
I'll trade you for that. Yeah. Why not?
Because, I mean, what are you going to learn from that? You've already, in theory, read it, right? You've read the articles.
Right. You've taken mental photos.
There you go. And it's like, I don't need this thing anymore. Hey, what do you got? So, I mean, hell yeah. Why couldn't it be used for trading?
Anyway, all right.
We've gone completely left field with this.
I know we did go off.
We did go
off tangent a little bit. Okay, so anyway, back to the how-to guide books, guys. Plumbing books, electrical books, things that are going to help you. People are not going to want to give up their indoor plumbing in a shit it's the fan scenario, right? Nobody's going to want to do that. Nobody's going to want to give up electricity. So if you possess the knowledge to be able to wire up an electrical source to someone's house, or you possess knowledge that allows somebody to keep their well pump running,
right,
you're going to be invaluable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's a big deal. Also, and this extends to a lot of the people in the audience out there that are very incapable. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you don't have these, your grandma probably does, or your mom does, or great Aunt Sue does. Get you some fucking cookbooks. For the love of God,
yes.
Get some cookbooks. A lot of people out there do not know how to cook, and that's okay. It's okay to not know how to cook. But when you're in a shit it's the fan scenario and you have a limited food supply you're working with, you're not going to want to fuck it up.
I mean, seasonings also, Jester.
Want to be a guest on the show? Email itsdoomsdaypodcast@gmail.com. That's itsdoomsdaypodcast@gmail.com.
Well, I mean, we're on books. Books on making seasonings.
I hope, but I mean, you might get an old cookbook and it say, this is what you can do with rice. Oh, you need this, that, and the third seasoning.
Right.
I don't have those, so now you're going to be eating boiled rice and chicken or whatever.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. One last final thing that I'd like to put in here, and it should have went in here with the Playboys mainly. Anything that's a morale booster keeps your spirits up. Like if you're religious, have your religious books.
Yep.
If you're someone that's fought with depression, have what are they?
Self-help books.
Yeah, the self-help books. What was that big one back in the day? Chicken noodle soup for the soul or some shit like that was one of them. Anyway, so yeah, the self-help books, guys, I think those are going to be great ones to have around. And home remedy books are also great to have.
Yeah.
And these are things before the internet. These things were just kind of standard in people's homes.
Yep.
Right? Like, I think everybody had a bookshelf where they had some how-to guides. They had home remedy books. They had cookbooks, cleaning books. Nowadays, it's all on the internet.
Yep.
All right? Like, I could ask Google a question about a recipe, and it'll send me the link right to my phone.
It sends you 4 different links.
Right.
4 different ways to do it.
Right. All I got to do is click on it, and bam, it's right there. But when the internet goes down, we're not cooking.
Nope.
So
3x5 index cards. If you can still find them, 3x5 index cards.
we've got a bunch here, dude. I utilize them for everything.
I mean, find a recipe that you like. There you go.
Yeah.
Write it. Use the front of it for the ingredients, and use the back of it for the directions.
Right. I mean, it's perfect. Guys, don't. And here's the thing too. If you don't want to go out and spend the money on books, and you're like, hey, there's like 8, 10 key things I want to know. Print these things off the internet.
Oh, yes.
Put them in a folder and just have them somewhere on standby.
Speaking of books, reloading manuals, which we can go into in a minute, but anything dealing with reloading, you can go onto the powder manufacturer, the bullet manufacturer, the press maker. You could go on there and download all of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
And I have it all at home just in case something happens, because the book might not have a specific recipe for what you have, but the internet has it.
You know, I don't have any books on reloading, I don't think.
Well, buy one.
Well, I don't have anything to reload with.
Buy a press. I'm going to talk about all that at Prep Stock. Don't worry about it.
All right, so Prep Stock, if you're not going, get your tickets. We're going to be doing reloading stuff at Prep Stock. So, I mean, I think that's about it, dude. I think it's about all the books I would think that you'd want to stock in your prep library. I mean, there's 1,000 books out there we're not thinking of, but I'm just saying in general, the areas you want to be well-rounded in.
Yeah, and, one of the things you said, about the morale, if you prepping novels, I've read a couple of sets of them. Honestly, they have good information in them. They're a good story. There's good information in them. So, pick one of them up, see if it's got good information, and put it back and save it. It's hard to say where you'll find, any kind of information.
Right.
How to make your own vinegar.
That's it.
I think apples, honey, and water is all you need
Yeah.
for vinegar.
And it's just fermented, right?
Yeah, I have not researched it that far yet. I want to learn how to make my own vinegar, but apple scraps, honey, and water, and that's all you need to make vinegar. And time, which you're going to have plenty of.
Right. You're going to have a lot of time when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
This is an emergency action message. At approximately 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NORAD is tracking 15 ICBM nuclear missiles inbound to the following cities: Orlando, Miami, Pittsburgh, Dover, Newark, Richland, Philadelphia, New York City, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston, Seattle, Detroit. This is an extremely deadly situation. Stay tuned. The next emergency message will be a presidential address.